Hi, everybody, and welcome to this new episode of the Let's Connect talk show. And as you may know by now, I organize a show once a week and I invite an expert once a week. The reason why I'm doing the Let's Connect talk show is just because I like to connect people. So I know people, I have a network of people, I know that they're very good at what they do, they are experts in their field. And I want to bring you the maximum of information and resources that you can have in your business. So depending on who you are and what you do, maybe you will relate more to one strategy than another or one expert to another. And that's the reason why I want to bring you like numbers of experts and numbers of strategy. So because my goal is to help you to grow your business much faster. With the strategy that I use, I help my client to double or triple their revenue in 90 days for most of them. But there's plenty other strategies. So I want to share that with you. And today I have the pleasure to have my guest, Dr. Francis Mbunya. Hi, how are you, Francis?
I'm doing great, Biba. Thanks for having me on your show.
Thank you very much for being here from Texas.
Yeah.
If I remember well. So Dr. Francis Mbunya helps life coaches and entrepreneurs write and publish a book that grow the business in 90 days. So that's why we like to communicate with you. The same as me, in 90 days, we help people. So you really, and he helps them to, what I like also is this, you say that you help them to make money with a message of hope, healing, and transformation while being in total integrity. And I really love that because I also say that I like to help my clients to grow their business, but more importantly, to transform in their life. But I also want my clients to transform the client's life. So for me, that's the key number one to work with somebody. And you say something also on your website. You say the world needs a special gift that only you have. Learn how to become a change maker today. So we're going to have a lot to talk today.
That's right.
This was the short version of your introduction. So for people to understand a little bit who you are, what you do, who do you serve, and what's the benefits of your service, can you tell us a little more about you?
All right. Thank you, Biba. I'm super excited to be here and to be connected with you because of the high value you have in connecting people. And my name is Francis Mbunya. I live here in Dallas, Texas, and I'm originally from Cameroon. And what I do is to help specifically life coaches, but in a bigger circle, entrepreneur, to be able to identify their special, unique gift and how they can help grow their business. And this is very important for me because when I started out into business, and more specifically into business coaching, I struggled a lot on finding what my value and my message was. Like, what exactly will I say? What exactly should I be focusing on? And why will people really believe me? Why am I different from, how am I different from the other? And we have many people that are in the space of life coaching, in the space of entrepreneurship. These are the questions they struggle to answer every day. And because they're not getting the right and specific answers to this question, it puts them in a very big loop. So it's difficult for them to really focus on who needs them and to be able to market the right message to them. So what I do is first, I help them to find themselves, to find their core value, to find their purpose, to find what unique message they have and what actually separates them. I call it their competitive advantage. And when they're able to locate that, they can put that in a book that creates a whole difference. So when someone grabs a book from them, they can feel connected to the reason why they're doing what they're doing, and not only that, to how unique the approach is in terms of their unique experience and the difference they really want to create. So when I help people write a book, people say, how much do you charge for writing a book? I said, I don't even know if they can help you. Why? Because I'm not just saying, hey, you start with the introduction, this is the body, this is the clothes. No, we are building a whole messaging about you, about your value. So it's more on the design that comes from your core message. And that has to start with you. And that has to start with what you believe in. And from there, we're going to look at what you believe in and how you can translate it to position yourself in a place of power to reach the people that are unique and important to you. So I help coaches to be able to do that within the space of 90 days and have not just a book, but a clear message that connects them to the person they want to meet the most.
Okay, perfect. And I forgot to mention at the beginning, but you already wrote 5 books. So you know the process. So did you also decide to help people to write the book? Because did you see a different process from the first one to the number 5 that you did, and then it become easier and easier? Or maybe you created this process because you wanted to have this process. Maybe the first time you wrote a book, you said, oh, it would be much faster if I knew all of this at the beginning.
Yeah, that's a very important question. Thank you very much. So the first book I wrote was more of a technical book because it was connected to my master thesis. And when I wrote that book, I was just excited that I'm able to put my message out in a book. And I forgot about it. And then someone found that book on the Amazon and reached out to me, invited me to be a guest speaker in one of the UN conferences that was happening in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. It's like, hey, we found your book and we have been looking for a speaker on this topic. It was on livelihood and local development. And that is why for the sales of the book, I did not really make any money. It was traditionally published. But when I was invited to speak at that conference, it changed a whole lot about me. And from there, I got invited to another conference in Cambridge, UK. From there, I spoke in another conference in New York. I realized that you just need to be positioned where people can find you and understand your value to go viral. And most often, that was just a book that I did not really go out there to market. Someone was able to pick it out because of the uniqueness. And that is what introduced me to start writing other books. But when I wrote the second book, which was titled Get Off Your Comfort Zone, it was to help people understand the value of putting themselves out there and what they can do out of the normal to go with that extra mile to put themselves out there. And when I wrote the third book was Walk to Your Desired Job. It was to help other recent graduates to be able to help them understand that when you're looking for a job, it needs to be part of your study and it's not an after study, but which is also the approach I use to be able to have my consultancy with the UN and have to work also with the National Geographic by constantly putting myself out there and putting myself where people that needed my skills could find me. But when I wanted to get full-time into coaching, I wanted a perfect book. Mm-hmm. And because I really wanted a perfect book, it took me about 2-3 years to get a perfect book. I was like, forward and back, until I came across the Author Incubator. It's a company in Washington, D.C. I came across a YouTube ad with them and said, you can write and publish in 9 weeks. I said, no, this is not possible. I've been working on this forever. But I'm always open to knowledge. I got into the program. I learned exactly what they were creating that was different. And because I've been a writer and I've written 4 books by then, it was easy for me to grab the concept and say, oh, this is the difference I need to create. So it became easier for me to integrate it with what I was already doing. And I see how this could help people that are already providing this service just put more power, more focus, and more value into what they're doing to be able to stand out. And that is when when I look back, I saw how writing has been able to fast forward me in my business. I said, this is a great asset every entrepreneur should have. And I decided to say, you know what, I'm going to help so many people that I stalk and help them to put this message out there, get them more visibility. In that way, they can get more business.
Yeah.
And between 2020, when I really started putting myself out there as a book coach, I've been able to help more than 20 people get their book out within the space of a year. And we have about 15 others that are also in the process. And it kind of really gives me joy when I see how when they find that core importance, and they're able to say, oh, wow, I see how important I am now. Oh, wow, I see why I should not be charging people $100. I should be charging them thousands of dollars, because what I'm providing them has the capability to transform their own life. And people just start seeing their value coming out just by understanding what they are bringing into their marketplace.
Yeah. You say the same thing. I always say that people, when they come to me, they don't come and say, Biba, can you change my life? They just say, can you help me to grow my business? But the most important part for me is that helping them to grow their business will help them to transform their life and their family's life. And that's, for me, that's the power that we have, and the impact that we have on people is that completely change their life. And for sure, a book can change a life, because I remember when I wrote the first one in 2005, I think it took me 3 months, and everybody say that it's already short time. And for me, it was like long time. I dedicated myself to write like 4 hours every weekend for 3 months. But then when I finished the book, because I wanted a book more like a big business card, I didn't want to be an author. And for me, it was like weird when I finished and I published the book, people say, oh, now you're an author. I said, no, I just wrote a book. I didn't consider myself as an author. But what I realized very quickly is not writing the book is not the most important part as an entrepreneur. It's just the first door. It's just the first step. Because a lot of people don't understand, and I didn't really when I wrote the first one. I just wanted people to know what I was doing. And how I could help them. But what I realized is that the promotion of the book, and then you need to have a business model behind the book. The book is just like, even if people pay you book like $20, it's like an ebook. It's how you get the people in the door. And most of the problem with a lot of people is that it's so, I would say, easy now to write a book, because you can be self-published on Amazon. So everybody write a book now. It was different when I wrote the first one years ago, but now everybody can do it. But most of the people, they want to write a book, and they don't have the second step. And as an entrepreneur, since we're talking to entrepreneur, it's very important that you know, even before you start the book, what's the business model you have behind? What will you sell? Because if you just sell a book for $20 and that's it, and then you expect to get money on that and be an entrepreneur with that, that won't work. So it's very important also. So I guess you help also your clients to see what's the business model behind the book. And then, of course, in order to have a business and the book connected to the business, you also help them to have like a profitable topic. So how do you then help them to select the right book and the right topic to make sure that people will be interested in?
Thank you, Biba. That's a very important question. And that is where many authors also miss it. And the first thing I say to authors is that the most difficult part of a book is not when you're writing, it's the pre-writing phase. Because if you're unable to understand the purpose why you're doing it, how it is going to help you, how you are going to market it, who you're going to market it to, the value you want to create in the whole process, you're going to write a wrong book. Why? Because we need to build all of this energy and all of these processes into a book. Writing, it's more like an emotional act, which you're channeling your emotion in order to transform a life. And how will you be able to transform that life if you don't know what the person wants? So in the first phase, when I work with my client, first, we have to understand what is your market? What do you want to create? Who do you want to help? How do you want to help them? And then the book is designed on how we can be able to make the person we want to help aware of the value that we want to give them beyond the book. So the book is just introducing the author on what they're capable of doing and helping the ideal reader to go to them for that help. So I say that if you write a book that is capable of transforming life, which is what I teach, then you don't need to sell 1,000 copies to be able to make a profit of $20,000. You just need probably to get 20 copies out there, and within those 20 copies, you can find $100,000. Within those 20 copies, you can find $50,000. Now, the question you're asking yourself, while you plan your writing, is how can I possibly find $1,000, $2,000, depending on the value you're providing to your ideal client? How can I find $5,000 in one book that I give out? And what is the value of one book? When you start looking at book writing in that manner, you can even give out your book out for free, because you are creating awareness while you're doing that. But if you miss out that aspect, you're going to now focus a lot on marketing the book. But the goal is to market yourself, to position yourself where the people who need you can find you. But if you miss out that whole entire designing process in able to build your value in your book process, then you will now be focusing on how good the book will sell, and that's going to be a difficult process. Yeah. And this is also where we focus so much on how you write your book description, how you write the first 3 chapters, and how you write the close of your book. That matters a lot, because you need to also be focusing on the business model in the book.
Yeah, I know that when I have people that I coach, and sometimes I tell them, not everybody wants to write a book, but when they want, and I said, okay, let's start on your book. And then when I mentioned that, just like we say, like a $20 book or €20 book can bring you a $20,000 clients, people are always surprised and they say, oh yeah, but don't they need more than that? I say no, because if you connect with you, if the book is right, if they connect with you and with your personality, they don't need anything else. They don't need like a $47 program or $200 program. They just want to work with you. If they realize that you are the right person, nothing can stop them. So they go from $20 to $20,000 or more. So that's why people have to think about that in order to find clients. And actually, it's a great way also. Of course, we know that it's a great marketing tool. But last week, my guest as an expert was Jackie Lapin, who was helping people to get booked on stage, whether it's not on stage or virtually, since now we speak virtually for most of the time, at least for the last year. So how would you say that the book, because it's a great way to start as a speaker, to start to speak, or to start as getting the visibility? You're an author, now you want to become a speaker, and then of course all of this bring you clients. So how do you help your clients to use the book as a marketing tool?
Okay. The first thing, which is the most important asset for them, is for them to find out who they are and how important they are and how people really need them. Just that pre-concept of awareness of their value already help them to know that the people out there that need them. And now, one of the things we do when I help authors, we have at the end of their book what we call the author summit. And now in the author summit is just different marketing approach and how you can market yourself as an author and how your book can go ahead and do the hard work for you. For instance, if there is a conference coming up, or let's say, for instance, if I want to be a guest speaker on your show, and I send you an email and say, hi, Biba, my name is Francis. I live in Dallas, Texas, and I do X, Y, Z. And it's like, okay, thank you. And that's not really going to make so much impact to you compared to if I mail a copy of my book to you and say, hey, Biba, I wrote a book on how to write and publish in 90 days. And I see that you connect people. I think your audience are going to really love to hear about this book. Now I've created a value that you see me as a valuable person coming to add value in your platform compared to just me talking about myself. So it changes the whole mentality of the person that's at the receiving end and give them what value you are. And just the fact that you're an author puts you in a different platform. Because out of 91% of people that want to write a book, only 3% actually finish and publish. And when I hold like a workshop and conferences on book writing and publishing, you'll be amazed to see how many people are interested in writing a book. But you ask yourself the question, why is it that not everyone has start and finish? It's not because they cannot write. It's because it's a whole process for you to go through. It's a whole transformational process for yourself first as a writer. And that is why when people complete it, it really helps them to know who they are, and it helps them to be able to put that good food out and just let it do that work. It's also like as I said, the writing is the emotional process, and people connect to people because of common emotions that they can identify. And people buy or not buy because of emotions, not because they have money or they don't have money. It's how important it is to them. It's how important it attached to their emotion that they're able to make a decision if I should invest in this or not. Is it close to my heart? Is it going to add value to my life? And all of that. So all of that helps you to be able to connect with the right audience. And when the right people also see your book, now they can emotionally connect and say, oh, this is the right person I should be focusing to. So it's a very powerful tool to get on stage, to get on podcasts, and to break any difficult conversation. It just opens the door for you to come in.
And I would say that if people are shy, having a book is a great way to connect people, because a lot of people say, yeah, but I don't want to bother this person. I don't want to contact them. I don't know what to say. Well, if you have a book, then that's what, again, it's just open the door, and that's an excuse to contact people who are on podcasts or people who do conferences and say, I think that the topic might interest your audience.
That's right. Yeah. Very correct.
So now let's say we have people who look at us and, the same as when you did the first book, or when you say it took you years to write a book, they have a book idea in the head, but they procrastinate and they don't know where to start. What would be the two first steps that you recommend to do right now to make sure that they don't wait for another year, but that they have the book in the next 90 days?
The first step for them is that get a book coach. That's going to get you within the shortest possible time. Because the reason I was able to do my feed book, Skyrocket Your Business is Zero Cost in 9 weeks, is because I work with a coach. And I was working with a guideline. And that was so easy for you to do that. And sometimes, even when you're already a writer yourself, so many stuff come on the way. But when you work with a coach that is guiding you on deadline, it kind of bring more priority and more urgency to it, and you can finish quite on time. So for anyone, I would say the first thing is invest in it. Now, the second thing, which many people also procrastinate and get their book out to take a very long time, is that they don't have a structure. Mm-hmm. You need to be able to structure out your book from the first page to the last page. What exactly are you going to write? How are you going to write it? What time are you going to write? You said when you're writing your book, you plan to write every weekend 5 hours. And now that is a clear structure that gives you an idea on what time you want to invest and how long you want to invest that. And it's the consistency and the structure you had in place that gets you now the power to finish within that period. But many people just want to write on their free time. And because that is not an important activity, your brain doesn't classify it as important. So many other stuff are going to come on the way, and then you continuously start shifting it. So procrastination is as a result of not being able to give an important place for the activity in your brain. And it only gets important when it has a time frame, when it has a place, when it has a location, and when it has a duration. And when it also has a reward that is important for your brain to say, there is a bigger reward of doing this. So this should get an important place in my life, in my schedule. So it's very important to do that. So say, get a coach, get a structure, and if you have these two in place, you can be done in 90 days and less.
And less than that. Because I would add also that it's very important that you're passionate by the topic. Because if you're passionate by the topic and you know that you can give an impact on people, then you want to have the book written in very short time. I mean, the last book, it took me less than a month to write the last book because it's on mindset. And that's topic that was important for me for a long, long time. Yeah. But then I say this year is definitely the time that when I need it, or 2020, I published it in last September. I say that's the time where I need people to have this book in their hands, because mindset is very important in general, but during those special time, it's even more important to convert people and to have the impact. So it took me less than a month to write the last book. So if you're really passionate by the topic, then you want the book to be in people's hand. So then you just don't procrastinate anymore.
That's right.
Okay, so thank you. You gave us a lot of information. So I hope that for people watching us, if you were planning to write a book, or if you have the idea in your head for years and years, but you didn't take action, well, I hope that we help you and give you some information and some resources, so that way make sure that you have your next book in the next 90 days. So now if people want to learn more about you or how to work with you, where can they find you?
The best way to easily get a one-on-one with me, I tell many people, look for me on social media, just send me a message and I'm going to respond to you. But you can also go to my website. It's called the Authors Path, authors with an S, path, like a pathway you're working on, theauthorspath.com. And you'll be able to see most of the work we have done there, or the authors we've published with. And you also find many resources there. On LinkedIn, I put out also valuable content every day. If you follow me on LinkedIn, I'm more active on LinkedIn than any other platform. I also do weekly shows on Facebook. You can also find me on Facebook page and other stuff. So across all the social media, you can find me. But most importantly, on my website, you can also find a link to book a one-on-one with me. You can watch some of my masterclass. Also on my YouTube page, there are many resources there that will help you decide if writing is even for you or not, because it's not for everybody. And sure, if you have that value that you want to put out, and if it's worth your investment.
Okay, perfect. And then I confirm that I met you on LinkedIn a few months ago now, and you give a lot of information, a lot of resources. And that's what I like. And that's the reason why I bring my expertise, because the people like me who like to share their experience, who like to share their resources, their strategy. So once again, we can help you to grow your business much faster. So, and actually, if you want more tips, and if you want to make sure that you won't miss any of the interview and any of the experts and the resources, make sure that you sign up with the link below, and then you will be informed every week that each time I have a new show, what's the expert, what's the topic, and that will be, you will get also as a free gift, the first free gift, my free ebook, like the 3 steps to connect, communicate, and convert without selling. So it's very important, because that's what I teach people on, how to sell more without selling. So if you want to learn how, just sign up to the link below. And if you like these episodes, feel free to connect, to share it with your audience, because that's my mission, actually, to help a lot more people and to impact people with the expert, and help people to grow the business faster, especially in a period like this time. We know that a lot of people are losing the business. So I want to help you also to adapt your business and see how you can change the business model eventually before you lose your business. That's the reason why also taking all of my network with me on those episodes in order to help you. So, and make sure that you let us put some comments underneath. And if you have a book, let us know how you promote your book, what was the success with your book. And if you want to write a book, let us know why stop you, why you still didn't have your book. So we want to hear from you. So Francis, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Biba.
And for everybody else, I see you next week. Thank you. Bye-bye, everybody.